Hi friends, in this video I'm going to describe regulations related to remote drone ID in Europe and other countries. Let's start from Europe. Before getting into details of drone ID, I'd like to introduce you to the basic concept in which Europe uses remote drone ID. The first concept is drone classes. There are 7 classes so far. They call them C0, C6. Drones are classified according to several factors, including weight and the risk factor of their intended operations. The classes should be marked on the drone by manufacturer. Some details of each class are shown in this table. I also provide a link for detailed info about classes in video description. The second concept is categories. They also based on the risk of accidents while a particular drone is operating. The 3 categories are open, specific, and certified. The flights in open category do not require any prior operational authorization prior to operation. The open category is in turn subdivided in 3 subcategories, A1, A2, A3, which may be summarized in the following table. You can see the correspondence between subcategory and drone class. For example, if you have a drone class C2, you can fly in category A2 or A3. If you want to fly in category A1, you need a drone with class C0 or C1. The specific category is for risky operations not covered under the open category. To operate in this category, you, as a drone operator, need operational authorization from National Aviation Authority, unless the operation is covered by standard scenarios. Regulations introduce 2 standard scenarios for specific category. I provide the descriptions in the following table. If your operations falls under standard scenario and your drone has class required by this scenario, you are allowed to send a declaration to National Aviation Authority. After receiving confirmation, you don't need to get authorization to operate the drone. The certified category is for operations with the highest level of risk. Future drone flights with passengers on board, such as air taxi, for example, will fall into this category. The approach used to ensure the safety of these flights will be very similar to the one used for manned aviation. You can find some details about operations and requirements for this category in document published by European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA. I give you a link to this article in video description. The third concept is use space. I provide some links for regulations related to use space in video description. You can see some important details about use space in the picture I took from EASA documentation. Use space will be set in big cities and areas with overlapping drones and manned aircraft traffics. Drone operators should operate in use space airspace only if they make use of use space services. Taking in consideration all 3 concepts, European Union regulations introduce direct drone ID and network drone ID. The reason we have 2 remote IDs is that we need different solutions to answer different needs. Security and privacy request the possibility to receive identification data directly from the drone without the need to rely on any intermediary. This requires that the drone broadcasts the information directly to receiver. On the contrary, the purpose of the network drone ID is to connect in secure way the drone to the use space. Network drone ID ensures the transmission from drone in a way that it can be received through a network. Drones operating under use space will be required to connect to use space service providers using network drone ID. So, European regulations describe remote identification as a system that ensures the transmission of information about unmanned aircraft operation and its identity. Both direct drone ID and network drone ID must contain the following data: operator registration number, serial number, position data and current altitude, flight direction, airspeed, starting point position of the pilot. This information should be sent as direct drone ID for classes C1, C3. All drones operated in specific category, including drone class C5 and C6, must also transmit remote drone ID. However, regulations do not tell whether it should be direct drone ID or network drone ID. All drones flying in use space should operate with network drone ID. Finally, we can add remote ID row to our table of classes. We can see that all classes, excluding C0 and C4, must transmit remote ID, either as direct drone ID or network drone ID. That is it about Europe, and let's switch to Russia. The Ministry of Transport of the Russian Federation has realized the necessity of integrating drones into urban airspace. The Russian unmanned aircraft traffic management concept has been developed. However, the standards and technology for drone remote identification are yet to be finalized. At the initial stage, remote identification is expected to be based on available technical solutions such as ADS-B. Other means of identification, such as mobile data transmission network, will be considered in future phases. What about China? China regulations declares that all drones, except micro, are required to keep connected to the unmanned aircraft cloud exchange system. It is essentially similar to network drone ID scheme. A recent rulemaking focused on implementation of remote ID in a way that is more consistent with United States Federal Aviation Agency framework, including requirements for remote ID structure and transmission technologies. We also have information about drone ID regulation in other countries, but it's not complete. So what about Canada? The principal federal legislation governing civil aviation in Canada are the Aeronautic Act and Canadian Aviation Regulations. If you search them, trying to find anything about remote drone ID, you won't find anything. As a matter of fact, Transport Canada has Transport Canada Civil Aviation, TSSA, Directorate, which is analog of US FAA and European Union EASA. All three organizations exchange information about aviation safety, including drone safety. TCCA has Remotely Piloted Aircraft System Task Force, which is engaged in airpass legislation, research and development work. Some research work has been done about beyond visual line of sight flights and unmanned aircraft system traffic management. They are related to remote drone identification. However, there is nothing about remote drone ID and Canada regulations so far. That is it. My next video will be about standards related to remote drone ID. Thank you for watching my video. Goodbye.